we have a lot of information about crop circles, and we have a lot of information that describes their creation, but we don't understand it. We honestly don't understand crop circles, and that's okay with me. I mean, who wants to know everything? It takes the fun. I'd shoot myself if I knew everything. It takes the fun out of life, you know, the thrill of the hunt. I don't want to know everything. And in the case of crop circles, I'm not sure we're ever going to know anything because it's so enigmatic. It's very, very enigmatic. There's so much. It's a rich field. I don't want to go into all the technicalities, but it reminds me of sort of like, you know how the Navajo and the Tibetans have these sand paintings? It's like a reverse sand painting in some way. It's like the prayer comes down and does that to this ephemeral media, grass, transitory in nature, that's meant to be, it's meant to be placed in ephemeral media, grasslands, but it's like an upside down, like a reverse Rorschach. It's like an upside down prayer, upside down sand painting, where the prayer comes down instead of up. That's as close metaphorically or allegorically as I can describe what we're getting. Yes, we have some information on the technology, but we don't understand the whys. Because in our business, it's the same as any other business, the investigations, who, what, where, how, why, and when. Those are the ones. And the whys in the crop circle phenomena are probably intractable to us. But we've looked a lot at them. They're neat. It's really a neat thing. There's so many phenomena out there. In terms of phenomenology, there's so much stuff. You know, there's no limit to what we could look at. So we're pretty practical guys and gals, and we turn our attention to where we can use this effectively and where we can make an income, because it's also our profession. It's our livelihood. So that's also important for us as professionals. We need to be able to make a living at what we do, and when we have time, we look at the sexy stuff. Take my word for it. What I don't talk about in the scientific and technology community is something that we take for granted in-house. We just keep it quiet because it's too new age, and that generally is the reality of angels. Angels are real. They are real, and they're around. Just because we can't see them, they're there. We know that as remote viewers. You may accept it because your church said they're there, but remote viewers can detect them, and they are real. And in fact, and it's an angel that prevents any negative influence from anybody. And I don't want to go into a lot of war stories about this, but it is true. They stop any negative influence. If I wanted to, and if I could, try to make you into a Manchurian candidate or have you rob a gas station for me, I wouldn't be able to do it because an angel would prevent me at some level. And we've actually been able to describe this in our work. Can we talk about this technically? No, we can't really do this because the time's not right. Mankind, I mean, I can talk to scientists about angels, but I don't have an audience anymore. A rose by any other name. Why? Why screw around with the names? Angels fits. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's an angel. The reason I chose angels is because something was interfering. We actually did use the military unit in an attempt to influence certain Soviets, certain Russians. And we were finding that even in an attempt to gain certain classes of information, we were always off target. What's going on here? So we remote viewed the remote viewing sessions themselves, the operations themselves, to see what was happening in those instances where the viewers were slipping off the target. And that's how we discovered these, I called them outside agencies at the time. What the heck is this? There's something in our unconscious mind that can influence and shunt and edit the information. What's this? Very nonplussing when you have a mission to perform and you want to kill the bad guys. Hey, we want to kill these guys. What's stopping us? There's something here that's stopping us, right? From getting the information we need to ambush these people or to poison them with a poison pen. I was a spy, right? That's what we used, to spy stuff. What's stopping us from doing that? Angels, okay? These things. So I had to go to all these books and say, Thomas Aquinas, Augustine, St. Jerome, and say, hey, the description of these things matches this one. They're calling it angels. So, you know, Occam's razor. And why give it another name? Fine, give it another name, but angels is good enough. So how do you do? I'm Ed Dames, operations officer, and how do we get around you to kill this guy? And we can't. They call the shots under certain circumstances. So if you pull certain strings, they're there, watching. Otherwise, they stand back, allegorically speaking, watching. Just watching. But they're there if they need to be, saying, no, 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 you don't get to see this. Or, come over here. And I thought I was in charge. They're real. And they're sort of the engineers that engineer our destiny. We make the choices here and here. They set it up for us. Somebody has to do that, right? They're the ones. But that's a hard sell out there in Washington, D.C., and National Security Council, and Los Alamos National Lab. So we don't talk about it. You can turn the camera back on now. Well, as remote viewers, we know, as professionals, we know that we have a big problem with, we know that something exists when a person dies that is outside of the material body which decays, and the mind which goes away. There's something else that exists, but we can't get our teeth into that because there's no common denominator, there's no baseline in our thesaurus, our toolbox, our lexicon, to put any labels on what we're perceiving. Yes, we perceive something. I'll attest to that. There's something. You can call it whatever you want. Soul, spirit, whatever. But we can't grasp it. We don't have any left brain labels in our experience to say what that is. It's like a child. You're trying to teach a child remote viewing. A child can easily target a person, for instance. Let's say a person that's lost a loved one. But the child has no experience with grief and pathos and anxiety and all those things that make up the experience of a normal person who has lost someone in life. Child hasn't done that normally and doesn't have words for the things that they're perceiving. A child who's been taught remote viewing can only say, for instance, there's a man here in this room and he feels bad. That's it. No lexicon, no thesaurus. Well, we're as eclectic as we may want to be, and as experienced and as replete our thesaurus may be with all kinds of rich words and word ideas, there's nothing that's left that can still grasp what this thing is that's left after a person dies, or what we are before we're born. We can't work with it. So, outside of our bailiwick, it's a limitation. I pointed out that the Matrix did not really understand how to adjudicate the search term of terrorist until 9/11 events. Then, in no uncertain terms now, the collective unconscious knows what terrorist means. Any remote viewer will turn their attention to, if they turn their attention to the next terrorist attack in a certain region of the world, will produce the same data. Whereas before 9/11, there was a lot of ambiguity in the term terrorist. The old adage of one man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter applied. Now, that term is forever cemented, possibly forever. It's certainly cemented now in the Matrix. The Matrix understands what we mean by terrorist. So the question is, could there be an event that would perhaps educate or at least cue the Matrix to what we mean by continuity of consciousness, or what happens after a person passes away, a person's essence? Could there be some hook that we could get, or some event that could happen that could possibly educate the Matrix as to what we mean when we say spirit, essence, soul, or whatever that is? I don't know. I don't know. I'm a simple man. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know at all. And I think that it's outside of mind. This is a mind tool. And I think that these kinds of arenas are outside of mind. They're somewhere else. They're at the level where we actually exist as entities. It's at that level. And this is a mind tool. So we're in the wrong place. There's a mismatch here. We need to go somewhere else where there are no words, where we exist as who we are. Go there and then follow that. I think we could go that way. And then come back, and then maybe after that experience, and then possibly put that into words. But you know what? I think over the last several millennia that's been done. attempts to do that have been done by enlightened people, savants, all that. They've tried to say what that is. I think it becomes obfuscated and confused, but at least people have tried. Better men than I have done that. To what degree they're able to articulate that in terms that people